Do you struggle with going back to work after a holiday or vacation? Well, so did Peter. And in this video, I'm going to show you how Peter turned that around from something that was hard to do to something that was easy to do. Peter's a friend of mine, an accountant. He works a fairly high-pressure job, and he actually avoided taking holidays for a bunch of reasons that I know you'll recognize. That you'll get behind with your work, that the emails will pile up while you're away, that the work will pile up while you're away, that you'll come back to an avalanche, and it'll be an overwhelming mountain to climb. He called me on his first day back from his 2017 holiday where he'd found exactly that. And these were his exact words: "I am never going on holiday again." We decided to meet for a beer. This was before I gave beer up. And I shared a plan with him that has made going back to work easy for him ever since. The first thing that I'd like you to see is that setting yourself up for an easy return to work after a holiday starts before the holiday, in the planning. And my first suggestion is to give yourself a day or two either side of traveling out and traveling back as buffer days. I mean, don't make it that you're flying out the very morning after your last day at work, and don't make it that your first day of work is straight after flying back. That just adds to the pressure. Having a couple of buffer days before and after is what's going to make it easier. For instance, the last holiday I took was 10 days in a glorious Mediterranean hotel, and we were flying out on the Tuesday of one week, flying back the Friday of the next. So I booked 2 weeks and 1 day off work. So I had the Saturday, the Sunday and the Monday as buffer days before flying out, and the Saturday, the Sunday and the Monday as buffer days after flying back. My second suggestion is to make those buffer days holidays too. They're not days to catch up with work. I mean, yes, you might use them to pack or to get some travel accessories or get your travel money. And on the return days, you might use them to unpack and get your washing done. But don't load them up, and do plan to do some holiday things locally. Nice, relaxing, special. Local places of interest. Relax in local cafes. Have nice meals in local restaurants. Maybe go and see a movie or two. One thing that makes it feel hard to go back to work is to think of it as a sudden and complete change. Like 1 minute 100% holiday, 1 minute 100% work. Like a sudden complete switch. I find it useful to dissolve the hardness of that threshold and make the transition more gradual. Not slow, but gradual. And in my experience, there are two things that help us achieve that. On the last of my buffer days before going back to work, during the day before the evening out, I will generally go for a walk to just think gently about how I'm going to be and what I expect to do in my first day back. And I'll scribble some notes into my notebook. Now, I know that might seem anti-holiday, but I find it helps. And the key thing is, it's just gentle thinking, a gentle mental preparation for that first day. And it forms just a lightweight vision. And I'll tell you what makes that vision magic shortly. Now, the second part of dissolving that hard threshold is to make the evening after your first day back part of the holiday by planning to do one more special relaxing holiday thing that evening and make it something special. So that makes the walk on the last buffer day and the first day back at work actually a window of work inside a holiday which hasn't quite finished yet. By the way, if you're getting value out of this content and you want to continue the journey of success with a peaceful mind, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the notifications bell so that you'll get notified when new content arrives. This next tip is so important. Clear your diary for the first 2 days back, not just one, or at least to the extent that you're able to. You see, part of why returning to work is so hard is because we allow ourselves no transition time. But a lot has happened. There is information to catch up on. There are things to get back up to speed with. Do not make the mistake of underestimating the importance of that activity, and do not make the mistake of estimating it as an activity that takes zero time. It doesn't take zero time. I mean, yes, you're back at work and you're available to people, and there may be things that you need to do, but you must also catch up to be able to race ahead, and that is legitimate work. And as well as clearing your diary, go in for that first day with no expectations. Do not go in with a big ambitious plan to change the world. Go in as an empty vessel with no expectations except to learn what you need to learn to catch up. It's those inflated, unrealistic expectations that come from feeling like we created some kind of debt by going on holiday, a debt that we must repay, that inflates the pressure. And that's exactly what had happened to Peter. Now, on that point, do you remember when I talked about taking a walk on the last of your buffer days, a gentle walk? That's what I want you to contemplate on that walk, going in with no expectations, going in as an empty vessel, to give yourself the time you need to get back up to speed. Now, Peter did all of these things, but there's one thing I forgot to add. You see, these are all practical things that we can do to make it easy to return to work after a great holiday. Let's not forget, though, the role of thought in creating the experience of stress, anxiety, and hardness. If something feels hard or feels like it's going to be hard, that's because that's the context we created in the thinking that we did before the act, in the ideas that we placed before the mind. And that means there's something to master there too. And to master that, watch this stuff here. This is Steve, and I wish you health and happiness.